Hello, I'm Dr. Laura Murillo. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our first guest is someone you've seen often on our program. He's going to talk to us a little bit about Harris County, our elections, and voting. So please welcome Hector Deleon with the County Clerk's Office. Hello, Hector.
Hi, thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. This is one conversation we can always talk about because it's something that we do all the time, even though folks think that it's just during presidential elections. But talk to us a little bit about the primary elections. Why do we have them and why are they important?
Well, as you mentioned, the upcoming elections are the primary elections, and it's on March 5th. And every even number year, the political parties conduct their elections, Democratic Party and the Republican Party, to select the candidates or their nominees so they can move on to November, determine who moves on to November to actually go head to head. Obviously, these two elections are actually separate elections. They're two elections, Democratic primary, Republican primary, and they're both battling candidates from both parties are battling against the individual party peers, right? And whoever wins goes on to November. They have to get 50% plus one of the vote to be able to win and move on to November. If they don't, then there has to be a runoff if no candidate received the majority of the vote. This year, it's the first time that in Harris County, we're actually going to have what we call a joint primary election, which means that if you ever voted a November election and you go to the poll on election day, there's going to be one staff and one site where both parties are going to go and actually be able to cast their ballots on the same equipment. Typically, when you have two separate elections and they're not a joint primary, each party has their own side. Either you go to the Democratic side or you go to the Republican side. In this instance, because they agreed to do a joint primary, we'll be using one staff, one set of equipment, and that makes it a lot more accommodating probably to the voters because they're used to it in a November election. And in fact, during a primary election, we use the same sort of setup during the early voting period. It's just that on election day, it's going to move also to election day during the primary election. So that's we're glad about that because we think that it will provide a much better service to each voter, and their experience hopefully will be better than it's been before.
Well, and that's something that certainly the county has been focused on is making sure that it's easily accessible and that you have plenty of staff to take care of all of the people to encourage them to get out to vote. Let's go back to March. So what does one need to have so that they can make sure they can vote in March and again later this
year? Obviously, people to vote in Texas and the United States, you have to be registered to vote. So in Texas, you don't register by party. You actually, if you, during one election cycle, like for this primary election cycle, if you voted in one party previously, you can actually vote for whatever primary you want to participate in. You're not obliged to vote for whatever party or in which primary you have voted in the past. You're like a free agent every election cycle, every primary election cycle. However, if you do vote in a primary and you choose one party, if there's a runoff, you do have to participate. You don't have to participate, but if you did participate, you would participate in the same party's primary because in Texas, you cannot cross over. You can't go from voting in a Democratic primary and then participating in a Republican runoff. So people need to be aware of that. Registration, obviously, ID. The most important thing that I wanted to mention to folks is that we're always focused on the elections at the top of the ballot, presidential and U.S. Senate and so on and so forth. But, each party will have, like, for example, in the Republican Party, there's a total of 122 contests on the ballot. And of those, 60% are judicial contests for judicial positions. In the Democratic primary, there's 119 contests and 77% or judicial contests. That means that in Texas, because judges are elected, folks mainly are going to see judicial contests, and they have to make a choice of who they want to take a bench in a court to decide cases. So when we say that your vote actually creates some sort of justice, is literally in Texas, you create justice through the voting process because you're selecting candidates who are going to be judges at some point once they get to November, and whoever wins will be determining decisions and making judgments on cases.
Yes, very important. Again, Hector, to you and the whole team, thank you for all you do. Have a great day.
Thank you.